Dispatch gives you two romance options, Invisigal and Blonde Blazer. And I'm just gonna say it, Blonde Blazer isn't only the better romance route, but she's probably the canon route the story is actually built for. Now, I know some of you Invisigal fans are already typing in the comments, but all I have to say is hear me out. Once you break down the writing episode by episode, it becomes impossible to deny. Let's start at the beginning of episode 1. Episode 1 hits Robert hard. He begins the game as Mecha Man on a revenge mission to kill Shroud, and it ends with his entire identity being ripped away. He gets lured into a trap, his suit and his livelihood are destroyed, and the explosion leaves him in a coma for months. When he wakes, he's immediately swarmed by reporters with classless questions that attack his legacy and his worth. Later we see Robert alone, watching a broadcast calling Mecha Man a complete failure. And while he's been absorbing all of that pain, the TV that he was watching itself gets stolen by a group of skittle-colored petty criminals. Now here's the first major character beat. Robert chooses to fight anyway. With one arm dislocated, outnumbered 5-1, no powers, no suit, no support, he stands up for what's right even though he knows he's gonna lose. And he does end up losing. But that's the moment when the game quietly sets up the central romance. Blonde Blazer swoops in, not to pity him or mock him like the media, but to stand up for him. She recognizes the heroism in what he just did, gives him his flowers, and then takes him out for drinks instead of leaving him by the TV store. At the bar, she's not interested in Mecha Man the symbol, she's interested in the man underneath the mask. The chemistry is already there. After they're kicked out, she takes him to a billboard that overlooks the Hollywood sign, which ends up being a quiet moment between two people who've worn masks for too long. When Robert opens up about his father's death and how Mecha Man came to be, Blazer does something huge. She moves closer and removes his mask. It's a literal, metaphorical, and intentional act. She wants to see Robert, not the legend. She examines his face and says, yeah, we can work with this. It's warm, it's curious, and human. And it's the foundation of their entire art. The game gives you two choices, kiss her or let the moment pass. The stronger narrative payoff comes from letting it pass. And as things wrap up, Blazer says, I'm not done saving you yet. It sounds flirty, but it ends up defining their dynamic moving forward. Now, in episode 2 is where a lot of people get thrown off, and honestly, I get it. When she brings you into SDN for the first time, there's a flirty energy there. She has you change in front of her, there's playful banter, and she praises your work. So if you ask her to dinner afterwards, you expect that energy to go somewhere. Instead, she tells you she has something to confess, and then introduces you to her boyfriend. On the first playthrough, it feels like whiplash, but this isn't bad writing, it's just character writing, and episode 3 explains it. Now in episode 3, we open with a reveal that Blazer has broken up with Phenomenon, who was her boyfriend. Now, the comic panels made it clear that he only loved the hero and not the person behind the powers, and that was clearly something that she needed personally in order to feel safe and secure in her relationship. So suddenly you start to look at it and the breakup feels way more reasonable and not random. However, it doesn't excuse the flirting in episode 2, but it does reframe and recontextualize it. She was emotionally checked out long before she made it official, and honestly probably should have made it official a whole lot sooner, and that would have saved a whole lot of confusion. But it does make her human at the end of the day. Other than that, episode 3 isn't a huge romance chapter, but it does quietly continue to build the connection that they have, and that gets continued into the next episode. Now, episode 4 is where the relationship really begins to take flight. It opens with Blazer asking you to help adjust her dress while the two of you flirt before starting the day. At the end of the shift, you're faced with your first big branching choice, and that is dinner with Blazer or a movie with Invisigal. If you choose Blazer, I believe you get one of the strongest character moments in the game. She shows up to the date flustered, clearly debating whether to reveal something personal or not. She then removes her amulet and her entire appearance softens. She ends up being 2 inches shorter, a brunette, and visibly more vulnerable and almost insecure, I would say. People have expectations and they never meet me first, is what she says. This all comes back and mirrors episode 1 perfectly, where she unmasked Robert then, and then she's now unmasking herself. And that shows a lot of real intimacy between the characters. It shows that she trusts him enough to open up and be her true self and not some hero on display. And I think that contrasts perfectly with the relationship she was in, where she was only allowed to really be a hero and not be, Mandy. Now, I do remember saying in episode 1, it's best if you wait to kiss her until episode 4, and this is why. You're now given the option to kiss her, and I believe this is the perfect moment to kiss her, because it really parallels both of your stories to that point where, you were Mecha Man becoming Robert, and she is Blonde Blazer now letting herself be Mandy around you. And it's two people being people and not the heroes and the idols that they have been made into by other people that they're throughout their whole life. And as the story progresses through the last 4 episodes, you can really see that their connection is very real. In episode 7, after Chase uses his powers to save Invisigal at the boat, and he's kind of on life support at that point, she comforts him. She's the one who's there, not Invisigal. And then when you're, kidnapped by Shroud and his men at the Sardine, who comes in to save you? It is Blazer, not Invisigal. And then when we go later and deeper into the story, when you're fighting either Sonar or Coupe, who is fighting with you? None other than Blonde Blazer. Hell, even when Mecha Man is dead to rights by Shroud, the first person coming in to land a punch other than Robert is, again, Blonde Blazer. And I love how it all kind of ties itself up back at the end after you've defeated Shroud. And I think if you want the best ending possible, you spare him. And then after that, you're having a beer with Mandy, and it's just Robert and Mandy and not Mecha Man and Blonde Blazer. I think that's what's so narratively beautiful about it, because through episodes 1 through 4, it's about unmasking our heroes and seeing who they are really on the inside. And then at the end of episode 8, it's again our unmasked heroes being people. And I think that's honestly beautiful, because they've been building that this whole time, and they were able to fight as heroes and live as people. And I think that's a great theme that was brought up throughout the game. Now, for all you Invisigal fans, if you guys are still hanging around, I want to offer you my perspective on Invisigal and where I think she fits into the story. I believe she fits best as somebody you mentor and somebody you help get back to being a hero. I think it's kind of wrong, in my opinion, and you can take this for whatever you take it, but I think it's kind of wrong to be dating and intermingling with people who you are mentoring and that kind of thing. And that's why I kind of was never really into that. I believe that Invisigal needed security, she needed a support system, and she needed to get back on track before she was even worth thinking about dating for me personally in the game. And that's why I believe Blazer is just all around the best option in the game. And I think the best ending in the game is romancing Blonde Blazer, guiding Invisigal back to being a hero, sparing Shroud, and then I think forgiving either Coupe or Sonar and just living that true hero path. Now, I just want to close off by saying I think Mandy and Robert work because they see each other for who they truly are and not for who the world expects them to be. There's no illusion, no pedestal, no fantasy, just two people choosing each other with full clarity. And look, if you didn't pick this route, that's fine, but in my opinion, you're missing out on some of the most beautifully crafted character writing in gaming today, and I really do believe that. So with that all in mind, I would like to thank you all for watching this video if you made it to the end, and if you've got your own thoughts, leave them down in the comments section down below. I will be reacting to every comment that's there, so leave your comments, let's have a discussion, and if I'm wrong, tell me I am wrong. I'm ready to hear it. And with that all in mind, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.